All right. Welcome back, my friends. How we doing? How we doing? Welcome back. Good morning. Good morning, everyone. Morning. Good morning, Chads and Chadettes. Kenzo. Wayo. Morning. I'm on section 8 and I just clicked the like button, Xander. Xander. That's good, man. Morning, guys. How we doing? Welcome back. Yeah, back in Miami today. Coffee's all right today. It's all right. It's Nespresso. It's all right. I want to open my own coffee place in Naples. That is that's something I'm thinking about. After living here in Miami and seeing a lot of the opportunity, a lot of this stuff, a lot of the ideas, Miami is full of very cool concepts. You realize sometimes when you go back to other places how much is missing in certain places. So interesting. Something I'm thinking about, man. Got to think about how, where you can, what the money that you make in one place, how can you leverage that in other places? That's always my goal. So, if I'm making money trading, where's that money a little bit safer, right? We all know trading is not a safe, right? It's not a safe environment. So, can you pull the money out of the market? Where can you place it to create another source of income that's maybe a little bit more stable, right? That's always the goal as you get older, as you start to realize how important, consistency is. So interesting, man. It's thinking, always thinking, guys. Very important. Always keep thinking. Keep thinking about opportunities. That's really the goal, right? Look recharged. Yeah, I'm shaved up. Maybe that's why. How we doing? Welcome back, guys. All right, so starting a little bit early today because we have ran out of time 2 live streams in a row. So I want to make sure I get everything in today. It's going to be a pretty interesting week. CPI, PPI, a lot of stuff going on in the markets. Big ass move on Friday. Very clean move, which unfortunately I did not catch. Unfortunately. But hey, long-term portfolio, if you miss a big day on the market and it's to the upside, what a beautiful day it was for the long term. So if you guys had some shares, Microsoft, if you own Microsoft shares, all-time highs, very nice, right? So this week, CPI, PPI, ES at a huge level, 4-hour downtrend. That's what you guys see in the live stream title. That ES is sitting right at a 4-hour downtrend. The NASDAQ was able to break it, hold above it, and push higher. Now we have to see if the S&P 500 can do that, right? Now we have to see, can the S&P 500 do what the NASDAQ did? That's going to be something to watch, right? That's going to be something to watch. So let's get started. Welcome back, guys. Press that like button if you could. Early likes are always great. Press that subscribe button if you're new here. We're here every single morning starting at 8 a.m. Let me go ahead and get that new schedule for us. Let's get that new schedule going. I know we like that. So here we go. Bam. New schedule. Economic earnings calendar. Let's try a different calendar. I like that Forex Factory. Let's check out that Forex Factory economic calendar. All right, so let's pull that up real quick. And let's, the only thing I don't like about the Forex Factory economic calendar, it's a little bit hard to read for viewers, for you guys. So let me just, let me filter this to US to start. So here we go. Bam. All right, so Forex Factory economic calendar today. Not much today, right? FOMC member Cook, he speaks at 8:50 a.m. Nothing really to, let me zoom in on this if I can. There we go. Boom. So FOMC member, I don't think that's really going to move anything for you. Federal budget balance, 2 o'clock today. I don't think that's really going to move anything for you either, right? What's going to move us tomorrow? Tomorrow, CPI month over month, core, normal CPI month over month, CPI year over year, and of course, I don't know why it's not there, but I'm sure there's a core year over year as well. So that's the big move, right? Today, what do we expect, right? What do we expect today? We probably expect a little bit of slower action. Huge move on Friday, heading into CPI tomorrow. Right? It's a perfect recipe for some lackluster movement this Monday, this trading day on Monday, right? I think that's probably the expectation. So a little bit careful today, understanding that, right? We have to just come into the day understanding that, saying, hey, huge move Friday, CPI tomorrow. Let's be a little bit cautious. So CPI tomorrow, 8:30. That's really the big event. Wednesday, PPI, right here. You guys can see PPI there. Retail sales as well tomorrow to be watching at 8:30. Thursday, bar speaking, unemployment. This is all sort of so if you guys have not used Forex Factory before, I'm sure you know if you've used it, but it's color coded, right? So red means it's very important. Yellow means it's probably not something that will move the market, right? So you guys can see right there, red, that's important. Unemployment, red, and then Friday, nothing really going on there. Let me just double check on the bond auctions. Make sure I'm not missing out on any of that. Let me go ahead and ensure that I am not missing any bond auctions. So here's U.S. bond auctions. I wish I could search by, I probably could. U.S. 10-year bond. Let me search by the next bond auction dates. Let's pull that up real quick. This is like the official bond auction stuff right here. So here's the real official. It's a little bit of it's pretty much just a PDF of an Excel file, but this is straight from the treasury.gov. So tomorrow, auction date, the 15th, you got the 17-week bill. I'm not sure that that's too important. I think these are really the main ones, right? The 20-year, 10-year, 2-year, right? So that's really later. You guys have something this week, 6-month at 11:30. Yeah, I mean, these were the big ones, right? You can see right here the 30-year, the 10-year, the 3-year. Those are the big ones. The next big ones look to be maybe that 20-year on next week, Monday. And then again, right, every month you have December 12th coming up, right? So, yeah, I think, this week, I think the big ones are the ones that are highlighted, and I think your next major one, the actual auction date, is November 20th, the 20-year bond on November 20th. That's probably your next big one, right? They're usually always at 1 p.m. So I think your next big bond auction date is next Monday at 1 p.m. That's your 20-year bond. That's probably your next big one. This was the one that affected the market last week, right? Remember last Thursday? That was this one right here. The 30-year bond right here, Thursday, November 9th, right? That was your last major bond auction that occurred. The next major one that will be coming is November 20th, 20-year bond. That is next Monday. So don't need to worry about too much bond movement this week. Really, this week is our CPI, PPI. That's what we will be watching. All right, so we'll keep this. I'm going to add this to our everyday sort of read just so that we are aware of this, right? So because we have seen, like I said last week, we have seen some movement off that bond auction. All right, so hopefully that's a little bit of a more in-depth analysis for you guys this morning. Got the different economic calendar. Going to be reading the bond auction so we make sure we know everything that's going on. Tesla 215, NVIDIA would love a pullback to 480 today. This would be a very nice pullback opportunity. AMD 116, another pullback that I'm watching for. Apple. So you guys know, right? We've been talking about this. Is this the long opportunity on Apple that we look back at? Well, it has been. We've been sort of yelling and screaming about this Apple for the last few weeks. What a beautiful move that happened on Friday over that 183.50. Microsoft, hey man, you love to see it, right? All-time highs on Microsoft. If you've been just buying Microsoft, investing in Microsoft, well, you're not down, right? No one's down on Microsoft unless you bought the exact high on Friday. So Microsoft, all-time high. You love to see it. Nice move there. There's a nice pullback opportunity on this one as well. A pullback to previous all-time highs. This could be a nice trading opportunity. Google, Amazon, some supplies to watch, and then Meta finally got over that 320. All right, let's jump right into it. Let's get started. So, NASDAQ, what am I looking for today? Would I love a pullback here, right? Would I love a pullback here? Would that be the trading opportunity I'd look for today? Yes, right? That's really what I want to look for. We had that pullback opportunity on Thursday into Friday, right? Which created a fantastic long opportunity off these previous highs, right? You can see those previous highs, that previous consolidation, beautiful double bottom right at that level, pullback, creating long opportunities, right? Not buying at the highs, getting stuck in this, but waiting for that pullback and longing it off that level. That was the move on Friday. And so I'm going to be laser focused today on looking for that again, right? Can we get a pullback to that previous consolidation, to that previous triple top high? You can see around right here, and this general area here. Can we get that pullback into that 15,415, right? Into that 14. Now, why do I have 14,470? Right? Why do I have 14,470 mapped out? This is because of this 4-hour high right here, guys. So if we go back to the 4-hour chart, you can see right here. See this high? The high of this 4-hour candle is 14,468. 14,468 is the high of this 4-hour, right? That's that pivot point that created large downside on the market. 15,470. 15,470 is this high right here on the NASDAQ. So that is why I do have this as a little bit of a zone, right? A larger green zone, because it could be anywhere between, the pullback long could come anywhere between 15,470, which is the high of this 4-hour pivot, or, right, it could be down into this Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday triple top. So this whole zone right here, in my eyes, could be that area that demand steps up, right? That's going to be that watch that I have today. If we can get, of course, that's if we can get some really nice movement today. Can we get some nice movement today with CPI tomorrow? Questionable, right? But at least let's make sure we have the right plan in place. So for me, I would love to see that pullback into that 4-hour pivot, 15,470, or this previous triple top at 15,415. So that's my area today. That would be a lovely pullback. That's my long area to watch for. We could also, right, if we really break this down to the short term, we could also add this pre-market low right here to a watch. Right here around this 15.5, let's call it 15.5, 15.5, 15.510, 15.5. It's sort of a 10-point range there, right? We could probably add that as a short-term watch as well in the extreme short term. I have more confidence in the zone below, right? I have a little bit more confidence in this zone below, right? Because it's a larger time frame zone. But you could see that little 15.5 level hold on today as well, right? You could see a move like this as well. So maybe you want to add that to your charts as well. But when you add it to your charts here, just make sure you know, right, this is not so much a larger term level. It's just a short term pre-market low, right? After hours low, this little low from Friday. That could be an interesting area to play long off of, right around that 15,500. So I will be watching 15,500, but I will understand that it's a very short-term level, right? And if we break that, I believe you will move into that 470 and that 415 zone. This is going to be the zone that you really have to be paying attention to see what happens at that previous 4-hour pivot, and of course, this previous triple top that was created last week. All right. So big breakout, right? Huge breakout. Look at this little hold intraday. That's just gorgeous right there. See that hold right there? Look at this. Where did the NASDAQ hold intraday? On Friday. Break, hold, 15,415. That was your little hold level, which created that further upside. What was your next hold level? Right here, 15,470. This little hold right here created more upside. So you can see these levels at work here. So that is what we're going to be watching today on the downside. We're going to watch those levels on the downside to see if they create long opportunities. Let me push this up to 470, right about there. Let me make this a little bit bigger, 15,470, bam. So hopefully that makes sense, right? For me, I'm looking for pullbacks as longs, right? The only place I would reconsider, longs today, the only place that I would say, okay, maybe I don't want to long anymore on a pullback is if we fall back below these highs. Dre, appreciate that, man. $25 donation coming in hot this morning. God, I'm Dre. Thank you, brother. Appreciate that. GG Dre. GG Dre in the chat. Thank you, man. So the only place I would say to myself, hey, maybe let's be careful on now longing this market is if we fall back below this triple top, right? If we fall back below this triple top from Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday of last week, and we start to see a little bit of a rejection stepping up again, then I would be a little bit cautious, right? I'd be a little bit cautious. I'd say, hey, we're back below that Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday high. Let me reconsider that potential idea. Let me think about that idea again. Do I really want to long this back into that high? That's the only spot that I think you say, hey, maybe the shorts or maybe the longs are not there anymore. Until there, right? Until we do that, I think there are definitely going to be some long opportunities on pullbacks. Until then, right? Until we break back below that 15,415. If we break back below that level, you have the 100 SMA, and then you have the Friday lows, which is just gorgeous right there. That little Friday double bottom, bam, awesome stuff. And then look at that 100 SMA hold on Friday as well, right there. This little 100 SMA hold on Friday, very nice hold, very nice pop off that. So if you do short, right? If you do short under that 15,415, then you really need to be cautious of shorting into this and, of course, shorting into here. So do I love the shorts, right? If you do break back under 15, do I love the shorts? Not really, because you are shorting back into that very clear 100 SMA demand, right? And you are shorting, you could catch a move here, of course, but you have to be cautious at the 200, 15,200, and I'm going to actually put a level here just so I'm aware of it. I'll be aware of it because there is a 100 SMA there for me, but I would also make sure you have that 15,315 area mapped out as well, right? That's that 100 SMA, all right? To the upside, right? To the upside, in my eyes, the only next real supply above starts to be around this 15,700, right? Right around this 15,700. That's where it starts to get a little bit heavy. Maybe around 600. It's not as, it's not perfect. So if I go to the 4-hour chart here, right, we can see, let me extend this to the left. There's a little bit around this 15,660. There's a little bit around the 15,700, right? But if we go out to the 4-hour chart, we can start to see these levels, right? Right here. All right, let's mark out these levels together. So, Jason, thank you, man. I appreciate that, Jason. Thank you for the donation. Thank you for the support. GG, Jason. So, right, if we zoom out here on the 4-hour chart, we start to get an idea of some of these previous 4-hour levels. Now, the first one is this high from back in June, right? The high of this candle is right around that 15,650, 15,660, right? That's a little high right there that we need to be paying attention to. Where does that correlate? Right here, right? Previous lows right there, right? That also sort of sets up lows here. It also sets up a high here, right? So if we zoom in on this, right, look at this 4-hour chart. You had some previous lows around this 660, 650. You had some previous highs around that area. And again, you have some highs around the area here. So if we start to move into that area a little bit cautious, right? Just a little bit cautious on the longs as we start to get close to that 660 level. That 660, it's really, in my eyes, it's 660 to 700. That's really what it is in my eyes. I would say anywhere between NASDAQ 15,660 to 15,700 could start to get a little bit heavy. That's where I would be cautious if you are holding longs. And that is why a pullback long would be a beautiful play, right, into that area. A pullback long would be a beautiful play into that area. So that's sort of my mindset. I hope that sort of clears up the idea here on the NASDAQ futures for you this morning. I would say be careful just longing the hell out of this thing right at open, right? You have Friday's highs. You have 660, 700 supply above, right? I think the people that, that bought the pullback are the ones that are really winning, right? The ones that bought the longs on Friday after the pullback are the ones that are really winning. And I'm going to try to stick to that mentality. No matter how far this thing squeezes, I'm going to try to stick to that mentality of requiring pullbacks. So for me, either that 15.5 today or back into this 15.470, 15.415 zone. That's going to be what I'm watching. All right? So hopefully that clears things up. Let's go to the QQQ. So QQQ. Oh, the other thing I wanted to point out real quick, guys, just real quick, I wanted to point something out for you. Here is what happened with that trend line on Friday, and this is something I did oversee, but this was sexy, right? Remember that 4-hour trend? Remember the 4-hour trend we were talking about on the 4-hour, right? Look at what happened on Friday. That is a beautiful break and hold above the trend, right? Look at that. You had a rejection of trend on the 4-hour. You had a break. You had some consolidation, and when you pulled back, I mean, look at that. That is sexy, and that's something I did oversee on Friday. My fault, right? I didn't have that trend line on my screen, and look at how clean that is. So this is going to be important, right? Keep this in mind. When we get to the S&P 500 analysis, keep this in mind. Keep in mind what the NASDAQ did that created upside. It broke and held above the 4-hour trend. It broke and retested the 4-hour trend, turning it into support, right? Keep that in mind when we get to the ES futures. This is the QQQ, and look at what the QQQ did. It did the exact same thing. It broke the 4-hour downtrend, it retested that trend, and it held, right? Look how clear that is. So, again, keep this in mind when we get to the ES futures, all right? So, here's the QQQ analysis for you today. In my eyes, the best long opportunity on the QQQ is a pullback to the previous triple top highs, right? That's really, in my eyes, your best long opportunity. This equals, right? That equals a pullback on the NASDAQ futures to that 15,415 that we were talking about, right? That's what that equals. It's a pullback on the Qs to that 374 level. Now, do we get that? That's the big question, right? This is where this waiting for this pullback to get a better long opportunity is the emotional, right? This is what instills emotion in all of us as traders, right? Because we don't know if we're going to get this opportunity, right? We don't know, right? However, I will say, right? I will say that this is the same emotional feeling that we get on a day like Thursday morning, right? On Thursday morning, we were probably saying to ourselves, hey, I know the best long opportunity is a pullback to those previous highs here, and I think that's probably your best long opportunity, but I don't know if we're going to get it. And look what happened, right? You got it. You got the pullback long, you got the pullback, and you got the entry, right? So as much as this pop makes you have that emotion of thinking, hey, I don't know if I'm going to get this pullback. I don't know. I might have to chase this thing. Well, hey, that was probably the same mindset you had Thursday morning, right? And look what happened. You got the pullback, and you got that long you were looking for. So I'm going to make sure I try my best to stick to that mentality. And I know it's not easy, guys, right? There's going to be times you mess up. I messed up a little bit on Friday. It's human. We're humans, right? There's going to be times where we just sort of mess up our analysis. But that's why, we work towards being as perfect as we can as traders. That's why every day you come into the market and you have that fire in you because you want to do a little bit better than you did the day before. Right, I want to make sure I keep that mentality. I don't want to start chasing this thing because I feel like we're not going to get pullbacks, because I know I'm the type of trader that looks for opportunity. I'm not going to just be that trader that starts longing at highs, right? So in my eyes, this is really where you want to long this market, right? This is really where you want to get that opportunity on a new long entry. Do we get it? I don't know, right? I don't know if we get it. But should we be looking for it, and should we try to stay patient for it? I would say so, right? Because this is really that opportunity that presents itself. So I would be looking for 374 in the Qs. If we get a pullback, that would be very important to be watching, all right? Hopefully that makes a little bit of sense, that sort of mindset, that idea behind what you're looking for in the market, right? I hope that helps a little bit. I think it's very important sometimes to let the market come to you, right? Let the trade come to you. And if we go to the 4-hour chart, you can even see, even more clear how perfect that pullback long could be, right? Because this pullback on the Qs into 374 would not only be a retest of these previous highs, but it would be a gorgeous pullback into that previous 4-hour pivot there, right? And that would be a sexy long opportunity, right? Little pullback, the same thing we did here, right? Squeeze, rejection, pullback, long. Squeeze, maybe a little rejection, pullback, long, right? So I'm going to keep that mindset, and I think that's a really good trading opportunity to be watching. That 374 in the Qs, definitely something to watch here, right? Now, QQQ rejections, I would be watching this 378.50. You guys see this 4-hour level right here on the QQQ, 378.50. That's exactly where we rejected on Friday, and that is where we're rejecting in the pre-market today. So would I be long into 378.50? No. Would I look for a hold above that level for long? Sure, right? But that, of course, you have to remember, is an aggressive long, right? There's no pullback there. You're just longing over the previous highs. So if we get a move over 378.50, that's this previous high. That's Friday's highs. If you get a hold above that, then you might be able to look for longs into 381, right? Into the next supply high. So here's the levels, right? Let's go break it down to the 15. Here's the 15-minute. Here's the levels. 378.50, that's your supply today. Watch for that level. If we get a rejection of that level, look for that pullback. This pullback could present a really nice long opportunity. If you don't get this pullback, right, if you do not get that pullback and we just sort of rock it here today, then you're looking for a hold over Friday's highs for an opportunity to long into 381. All right? The other level that I would map on your charts, which is something we did on the QQ or the NASDAQ futures as well, is the pre-market low right here. Right around this, I'm going to put it around 376 to 376.50. That could be an interesting zone to watch as well. All right? All right. So, ES. This is what I was referring to when I said make sure to remember what the NASDAQ did for the ES to have a nice upside move. Now, look, right? This is the question mark of the week. This is the question mark of the week. What does the S&P 500 do at the 4-hour downtrend? Because the NASDAQ broke it, came back down to it, held it, and pushed higher. The S&P 500 has not yet done that, right? So this is the big question mark. Does the S&P 500 break this 4-hour trend? And what you will want to look for a long is the exact same thing that the NASDAQ futures did, right? The NASDAQ futures gave you what you need to look for, right? That is what the NASDAQ futures sort of told you what to look for here, in my opinion. It was the break of the 4-hour trend. It was the pullback and retest of the trend, and that was the nice long opportunity. So if we go to the ES, right, I think that that's pretty much exactly what you're going to want to look for here. If the ES gets that break, right, maybe into the 100 SMA, Look for that pullback and hold of the trend for that long. That is exactly what the NASDAQ futures did, and I think that's something to be paying attention to here, guys. So you can see 4-hour trend on ES. We're still right under it. And if we go into that 15-minute chart, right, look at where it rejected on Friday, right there. That is pretty much a perfect rejection of 4-hour trend. I mean, it really doesn't get any cleaner than that. That is the exact line that we drew on the 4-hour chart that rejected pretty much perfectly there. Now, I will say, this is still a very bullish hold on the S&P 500 futures. Now, why is that? Look how clean this is right now. Look how clean this is. Previous highs, break. That's where we look at this little Friday hold. I mean, this doesn't get much cleaner right here. Look at this, right? See this hold on Friday? Little break and hold right here at 44.07. Why did we hold here on Friday and create more upside? Well, that is because that was this previous double top high. So, as long as the S&P 500 is over 44.07, right, over this high, I don't think you want to be too aggressive on the short side, right? This is a very clear double top high that held here in the pre-market. This is very clear, all right? So, yes, there is definitely some potential for rejections up here, and I would be very careful of it, right, if you are longing. But if you're looking to short this thing, I'd be more cautious on the short side as long as we're over 44.07. All right, if we're over this 44.07 demand, I would be careful shorting back into this pre-market low and shorting back into these previous double top highs. That's going to be the key level for me today, that 44.07, 44.10 area. I think that's going to be really key. So if we get under that level and we reject that area, that might be where you can get a little bit more downside, a little bit more of a pullback, maybe give back up some of that Friday high, that Friday move. But until then, right, I think this thing is trying to hold above this double top high, which is very clear for now, right? That is very clear for now. So ES, 44.07, 44.10, this sort of zone around here, previous double top high. You could even bring it down to around that 44.03. It's really not going to be perfect, right? But you're going to want to understand where these previous highs are, and you can see that pre-market level holding very nicely for now. So I would not look to short this ES if it's above that pre-market low, right? This 44.07, that's very key. Keep an eye on that. 44.20, this is also very interesting, right? Look at this 44.20 hold this morning. See that right there? Why is that important? Well, let's go to the 4-hour chart, right? Let's go to the 4-hour chart. Look how far 44.20 dates back, right? This dates back all the way to June of this year. All right, if we zoom in on this 4-hour chart, this is 44.20 right there. This is 44.20 right here, right? This is 44.20 all right here. And if we zoom in on this 4-hour, you guys can see we're holding above this green zone. We're attempting to hold above it right now in the pre-market. So if we hold above that green zone, if we hold above 44.20, there is definitely still potential for upside. But, right, the problem here is the unknown of this trend here today, right? That's sort of the unknown part. That's what makes this a little bit difficult. So this is an interesting hold this morning. It's a nice demand hold at that 44.10, 44.20 zone, but we do need to be a tad bit cautious of this 4-hour trend, which is sitting right there, literally like 5 points away this morning. So very, very cautious here, but I hope you understand the demand that's holding and the key levels there on the S&P 500 futures. All right? If you do get a squeeze, watch that 100 SMA. That's up there at 44.60. All right? Hopefully that makes sense. SPY. Same concept here on SPY. Here's your 4-hour chart. There's your trend line. You rejected that trend line pretty much to perfection on Friday. Pretty much to perfection on Friday. If we go to the 1-hour chart, let me get a little bit more time here. if we go to the 1 hour chart, I think the key level that you're going to be watching today is the 439. Maybe you bring it down a tad bit to around that 438.50. 438.50. That's the previous highs here, right? 438.50, 438.50. That's the previous double top highs on the 1 hour chart, right? And if we zoom in to 438.50, I mean, I can't make that up, right? Look at what just happened this morning at 438.50 on the SPY, right? Look at what just happened at 438.50 on the SPY this morning. Maybe you can, I might put it like this, right? Just so I'm aware of that. So look what happened. You got your big squeeze. You got your pullback. You're holding that 100 SMA. You're holding that 438.50. So in my opinion, I don't think you want to be short if the SPY ETF is over 438.50. I would not want to be a short, right? Because that is a very clear hold above the previous highs, and it's not just the short-term high. This is a very important 4-hour previous high as well, right there. Remember, 438.50. If we're holding above that, I do not think you want to be attacking shorts. Now, the problem here, once again, is the 4-hour downtrend, which makes this a little bit difficult, right? It makes it a little bit difficult. I can't tell you exactly what's going to happen here. I wish I could. If I could, I probably wouldn't be here on the live stream, right? I'd probably be sitting on a $1 billion yacht, sipping margaritas with Margot Robbie on my next to me. So, I can't tell you exactly what's going to happen here, but I can try to prepare you the best I can. I would be watching 438.50. That looks to be the key level, right? That looks to be that hold level for now. If you break under that level, that could lead to a little bit more pullback, right? Under 438.50, possibly into that 436. All right? So all eyes on 438.50 for me today on SPY, guys. I think that's your decision level today and that 100 SMA below. All right? Let's get into some stocks. Game time, stock time. So, on my next to me, yeah, exactly. Yeah, not with you, Doc. Sorry, Doc. I apologize, Doc. All right, we don't have 1,000 likes. If you guys could press that like button, I'd appreciate that. If you guys could press that like button, I'd appreciate that. We try to get to 1,000 likes by 8:30, and we are not there. So if you guys could press that like button, subscribe to the channel. If you press the like button, we don't run the ads. That's all you got to do. It's just a free click of your finger, and you get no ads. All right, so here we go. Tesla, right? You got that Tesla trend. Tesla, I'm watching this little. Oh, so first of all, let's go back and understand what happened here on Tesla. The 215, right? The 215 level, which rejected on Friday, right? Which held here on Monday, which held last 2 weeks ago, right? No, we do not have it 1.2. We have 900. I see it real time right here. So 215, right? That's the level that's holding this morning. That's very key. So 215 is your key hold level today on Tesla. That must hold. 215, you see it holding here in the pre-market. That has to hold for upside continuation. Now, there is some very difficult levels above, right? There is this 218.50 and this 20 SMA, which is rejecting as we speak, right? It's rejecting as we speak. So this is the area to be cautious of. This 218.50, 290, maybe even up to like right? I mean, even up to 220, right? It's not just 218.50. It's also up to this 220s, right? It's up to this 200 SMA, right? There's a lot of areas above to be cautious here on Tesla, which makes it a little bit difficult of a long here, right? This makes Tesla a little bit difficult to long, especially after seeing some of the weakness on Tesla in the recent trend. So it's a tough one, right? Tesla's been a tough read. It's been a real tough read, and it will definitely be tricky in this area. But I would say for now, right? For now, I would be careful of this previous double bottom from Wednesday around this 218.50 area, and I would be watching what happens at the 20 SMA, right? I think that's your big read today. If you get above that 20 SMA, then you probably push towards that 200. And that 200 is up towards 221, right? And that's really your next major level. Up there at 221, up at that 200 SMA, all right? So I would be watching these SMAs today. I'd watch the 20 at 218.50. I'd watch the 200 at 221. And I would say that Tesla, to see upside, must hold over 215. It must hold over 215. That's the level I'd look for on Tesla. All right. NVIDIA. I mean, man, who does not love some NVIDIA, man? It's just a beast of a stock. You got to love it. Huge upside off that 400 demand. I mean, geez, what a beautiful hold of 400. What a squeeze. When this thing gets going, there's just no stopping it. So today's interesting, right? Here's what we're watching on NVIDIA today. Let me go out to the 1 hour chart so you can actually, you know what? I think it's on the 4 hour so that you can understand where I'm getting these levels from. Let me go to the 4 hour chart. So right here, 490 is the first area, 490 right here, and then 500. Those are your next two areas to watch, all right? 490 and 500. Very easy. 10-point gaps. That's what NVIDIA was moving in back here. 490, 500. So, knowing that, let's zoom in on the short term. We know there's 490, right? And 500. We know that. So, are we going to be aggressively long into 490 before a pullback? I would say no, right? I'd be a little bit careful of that. What would be the dream opportunity today? The dream opportunity would be a little flush in, near open, a little morning flush. You start to see that demand step up around that 480, 482, right? Start to see these highs hold. Start to see this pre-market low hold. Start to see if there's some demand that steps up here, right, in this area. If that starts to happen, right, I would love to see if there's a long off that 480, 482 for a push back into that 490, right? If I'm going to trade into 490, I don't want to be long here. I want to be long on a pullback into demand. So what I will be watching here today on NVIDIA is a little downside move towards that 480, 482, right? If we can get a retest of this pre-market low, if we can get a retest of this previous high from Thursday, if we can start to get some longs down here, that would be the juicy area, all right? So that is going to be my main watch today. That's my number one watch today. Can NVIDIA pull back for me? And can I start to see some demand step up around this 480, 482? If we do not step up there and we get back under 480, then I'm a little bit more cautious, right? Because that's a rejection back under this high. That's an important 480 level that's sort of getting stuck. If we cannot hold above that 480, we possibly move back into this 474 area. That's that hold from Friday, right? If we don't get the pullback, right, and NVIDIA just sort of does the NVIDIA things it does and just squeezes, right, then you're going to have to look for longs on a hold over 490, in my opinion, all right? So either a, squeeze that we can't catch, that we need a wait back, we need a pullback to 490, or the pullback into 480, 482. Those are the two areas that I'll be watching on NVIDIA. If NVIDIA gets under 480, I am less interested in the pullback long opportunity. I think that 480 level is going to be the key level that has to hold on. All right? Apple. So, very, very awesome. Look at this, right? If you guys just sort of go back to memory lane with me for, almost 2 weeks ago, we were, saying, hey, is that 200 SMA long the long that we look back at and say, man, was that a great opportunity on Apple? You've heard me say that 20 times. Well, beautiful stuff, right? Look at that squeeze. Beautiful long on Apple. Off that 200 SMA. Nice break of the daily trend. Now, the area that I'm watching today is this 186.60. Now, the reason I'm watching 186.60 is all the way back here. That is from all the way back right here. On July 11th, we had this low at 186.60, which created upside. This is the spot I'm talking about right here. So today, right, what are we seeing at 186.60? we're seeing a little bit of trouble right there, right? Look at this, 186.60, 186.60. A little bit of trouble, right? A little bit of trouble in paradise. Now, if you guys remember, we were talking about that 183.50, and look at how gorgeous that hold was on Friday. So the unfortunate fact here for me is I tried the 183.50 long on Thursday, right? I got stopped out. However, it did it again on Friday, and I missed it. So that's trading, right? That's the reality of trading. I tried the 183.50 long on Thursday. You guys can see right here. See how this thing held above, right? See how this held above? Nice hold, right? I longed to here on Thursday looking for that upside, got stopped out because of that auction, that bond auction, right? On Friday, boom, pullback, look at where it held, right? Look at where it held, the exact same level. And that was the day that created that upside. So either way, the level was right, the idea was right, and I don't take anything back from that trade I took, right? Because I know that my idea was valid, right? And my idea was correct, and it did it on Friday. I was just a day too early. That's sometimes what happens with trading, right? Now, what I will look for on Apple, I don't know if I'm going to get it, but I would love to see it back to 183.50. If it is, obviously going to look for that long down there. I don't know if we'll get that. The other area I'll watch is this 184 area, 184.80, right in this general area here. I'll look to see if Apple can pull back to some of this previous high, previous consolidation area around that 184.75. If we don't get any of that, all right, if we don't get any of that, a break over this 186.60 level, right? A break over this low, this today's high, all right, if we break over that and we hold above it, I could see us pushing towards that 190, right? If this market's strong, if we get hot, right, this week, and Apple can hold over this 186.60, that's really your move into the 190. But for now, I would love pullbacks, right? Pull back to that 184.75 or a pullback to that 183.50. Those are the two pullback levels I'm watching on Apple. AMD, Microsoft. Let's go AMD real quick. So, right, AMD. What do you have to do here, guys? It's very easy. There's no two ways. There's no if, and, or buts. There's only one trade here on AMD in my eyes. In my eyes, there is one trade on AMD, and that is it. The only trade that I would be even thinking about taking on AMD after a move like we saw on Friday is a retest of the previous highs, right? It's as easy as that. I wait and I sit here until AMD comes back down into 116, 115.80. If we get that pullback, which I could almost guarantee we will, I don't know when, but at some point AMD will try that previous high again. And if we do that, right, that is where I will look for that long opportunity. I will not wake up today and chase longs on AMD, right? That's not a trading strategy. That's breaking every rule in the book for me. I'm not going to change the way I trade because of the moves on the market. Now, what would I love to see? That pullback to previous highs. This would be a really sexy long. Keep this 116, 115.80 level on your charts, right? If you see AMD back in that area, you better be watching for that potential long opportunity. So I'm going to go ahead and do create alert. I'm going to do at or below around 116. If I see AMD at or below 116, I will be absolutely watching that area on AMD. All right. Microsoft, Google, Amazon, Microsoft. We got to go quick because we're running out of time. So what am I watching on Microsoft today? Well, why not just watch to see if we can hold the previous all-time high, right? Previous all-time high on the 4-hour chart was 366.78. So what am I going to look for today? Very easy. I'm going to look to see if Microsoft can pull back to previous all-time highs and hold, right? That's the watch. Does Microsoft hold the previous all-time highs? If it does, look for that long opportunity off that level. That is 366.78. That would be a very interesting long, and I could confirm my thought here, right? How can I confirm my thought of being valid if I go to the 5-minute chart look at this on Friday, right? Break, hold in that general zone, right? Hold above that previous all-time high and continuation. So that is how I can confirm that if we get a pullback, there could be some demand that steps up there, and I could look for that long there. If we get under that level, then I would only be looking for a pullback to 364, right? 364 previous highs here. So all eyes on previous all-time high on Microsoft today, all right? Google. So this Google supply, which we had from last week, is still sort of stuck, right? It's still a little bit stuck, which is interesting. Why do we have 134 on our charts? All the way back here, right? 134, right here. 134, right back there. So look what's happening at 134 today. A little bit interesting, a little bit cautious here, right? Look at this little top that's forming at 134. So I'm not too fond of Google longs here today. I'm not, right? I like some other stocks a lot more on pullbacks. There's other stocks, right, for example, that are pulling back from highs, right? Broke previous highs, breaking like this. For example, NVIDIA, right? NVIDIA is pulling back into the previous highs, pulling back into the previous highs after breaking them. That is different than Google. Google has not broken the previous high. If Google had broken the previous high and pulled back into it, then I'm interested in that long. But Google has just actually rejected the previous high, right? It has created a double top. So I'm not as interested in a long on a stock that did not break the previous high. It's actually getting stuck at it, right? So not as interested in Google on longs. I'd be a little bit careful on this one, right? Because it did not break that 134. That's a little bit of a different story than some other stocks on the market. I would actually be looking for this 132 pullback. I'd be looking to see, can Google pull back to this 132? I'd actually, if we see a weak market, you could consider the shorts off 134 on Google. I'm not too fond of recommending shorts in the current market conditions, but you could watch it. Amazon, 143.70, nice rejection there. I'm watching some pullback levels here today, right here, right? Look how clean this could be. Look at this Amazon pullback level, 142.50, right? You see right here, previous low, previous low, previous high, 142.50 on Amazon. Watch that level. If we hold this, possible long into the highs. If we break back under it, we come back into 141.60, which is right here, right? Very clear, right? Some nice clear levels on Amazon there. 141.60, 142.50, all right? Last one I got for you guys here is Meta. Before we get out of here, Meta finally got over 320. It finally broke and held above. Now, here's the problem. There's still some problems here on Meta, and here's why. Look at the 4-hour chart on Meta. Look at this 330 level. That's a little bit interesting, right? Look at this potential rejection at 330 on Meta on the 4-hour chart. So, what would I look for on Meta? I would probably either look for a pullback to that 325, right? I'd first look for a pullback to 325 for longs or 320. I would not want to be long right into 330. That's a 4-hour major. Oh, actually, holy shit. Never mind. Let me zoom out even more, right? Sometimes zooming out even more gives you an even crazier picture. Look at that, right? Look at that. 4-hour on Meta. 330. You're right at it. That's going to be very interesting on Meta, right? That's going to be very interesting on Meta. So, watch 330 on Meta. Careful up there, right? What would I look for? Pull back to 325 or pull back to 320, right? These are the only potential longs. You need to see what happens at 320 or 325 today to potentially enter the market long. I would not be entering the market long up there at 330, right? I'd look for those pullbacks before you start getting aggressive on that thing, all right? Let's get a quick ES update. Yeah, ES is going to get it's getting a little bit tired at that trend, right? At 44.20, you got to hold this pre-market low. NQ, all right, so NQ giving us a little bit of downside, but this is good, right? This is good. We want this downside. If we want longs today, we want downside, right? So this is not scary. This should be something you welcome, right? You want this pullback. So I would watch pre-market lows, or I would watch this 15.415 level on the QQQ. you'd love a pullback to 374, right? You would love a pullback to 374 on the Qs today. That's a potential opportunity. I would watch for that. The other level that I would watch, right, in the short term is the pre-market lows, this 376, 376.50. All right? All right, guys. I hope that gives you a good idea of what's going on in the market today. I hope that aligns your day. I don't know if I will be able to be live tomorrow. So don't plan on me being live tomorrow. I might be traveling, guys. I might be able to squeeze something in very, very quickly. I have to figure out the whole details of my flight. But if the YouTube live doesn't show up, that means I won't be able to make it. But if it does, then I'm going to squeeze something in quick for you guys. It's CPI tomorrow. It's at 8:30. So I'm going to try to be on. I'm going to try my best. I might be a little late to my flight if I do that. But maybe I can squeeze something in. But after tomorrow, we're going to be live from an interesting location. All right? We're traveling. We're traveling, and we're going to be live from a different country. So that'll be fun. Hopefully, Wi-Fi is good. Hopefully, I'm bringing everything to work, right? I'm going to work. So my hope is that Wi-Fi works strong, everything works strong, so I can provide some live streams from a different country. So let's see. All right, we'll see. So thank you guys again. Press that like button. Subscribe to the channel. Best of luck today, guys. The last thing I'll leave you with today, right? The last thing that I will leave you with today is just understand that CPI is tomorrow, and understand that we could see some choppy price action, right? That's it. That's the one thing I want to make sure you step into the market with today, just to play protective, right? Understand tomorrow is CPI, and we could see some choppy action today. Protect yourself, right? Because there is going to be very good opportunities post CPI, post PPI later this week. Don't mess your whole week up today. There's going to be plenty of opportunities this week, which I'm very excited for. Don't trade subpar action today if that's what you start to see. All right? Make sure to keep that in mind. All right, guys, have a fantastic day. Press that like button before you head out, and I will see you guys tomorrow. Hopefully tomorrow, quickly tomorrow. If not, definitely Wednesday. Yeah. Peace.